Welcome back to America Decides. Democrats are hoping this off-year election can boost their party heading into 2024. Two key votes Democratic leaders will have their eyes on tonight are Andy Beshear's reelection bid in Kentucky and the Abortion Rights Protection Initiative in Ohio. So who better to talk to us about that than two people from those states? Ohio Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who represents most of the city of Columbus and Franklin County, and Kentucky Congressman Morgan McGarvey, who represents most of what they call Louisville Metro. Not Metro Louisville, Louisville Metro, right? I get that right?
You got it right.
All right,
You
excellent.
said Louisville right.
Well, you know, I got some family there, so they've taught me right. Election day in both your states, big contests. Congressman, let's start with you. This abortion ballot measure really has drawn intrigue across the country and could set the pace on this issue going forward. You got any sense of what could happen tonight?
Well, we know all eyes are on Ohio, and I feel really good tonight. Early vote, we're up with that. If you compare it, as you know, in August, we had the constitutional issue again about women's reproductive rights. And so here we are now with this election, and I think we're going to do okay in it. I think we're going to prevail. 40% early vote came in, and that's a good number for us. If you look at some of the polls, when you ask the question, are people angry about Roe v. Wade and what happened? A greater percentage, they're angry about it. More women are coming out and voting. We know this is beyond an issue just for women. It's a family's issue. I think we've done a great job in educating all of Ohio about how important this is and what it does in the future. And so I'm very comfortable because it'll make a big difference for Ohio, where we are now with the ban on abortion, even if it's rape or incest. So this will put us back where we think we're protecting women's rights.
I'm curious because if people looking outside the state think, okay, this got defeated, abortion rights are going to be enshrined in the Constitution, and you see that big turnout in an off year, should people outside the state think that there's a chance the state's going to go back to being purple or blue after several years of Republican dominance, or is this an issue-specific thing that has turned out the state tonight?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. And as a proud Democrat, I'm hoping it does help have everybody's eyes on Ohio to say that we can once again be more of a purple to blue state.
Congressman Andy Beshear, one of the most popular governors in the state, or in the country, 65% roughly. Daniel Cameron, the Republican opponent, keeps trying to tie him to President Biden, suggesting he's a Biden Democrat. If we can turn out the governor first and then Biden next year will have succeeded. Is that a message I imagine you think it probably doesn't work in Kentucky, or might it tonight?
I don't think it does work. I mean, Andy Beshear has done an incredible job as governor. And when he got sworn in December of 2019, then 3.5 months later, COVID happens. And he is the one leading our state. He's on TV every evening at 5 o'clock. People refer to it as Beers with Beshear. The people in the state know him. They knew his dad when he was governor. They've watched him shepherd the state through natural disasters, great economic development. But also there's an issue for us that's similar to Ohio. You know, Ohio's our neighbor to the north. And as Congresswoman Beatty was talking about abortion, I think abortion is going to play in this Kentucky race as well, because Kentucky is one of the states right now that there are no exceptions. You cannot get an abortion even if you're a victim of rape or incest. That is something that Daniel Cameron has supported. There have been television ads in Kentucky about this issue. I think it's going to move voters tonight as well in Kentucky.
Quickly, if there's a lesson Democrats outside the state can learn from a Beshear victory tonight, it would be what?
Good leadership, good steady leadership, focus on economic development, focus on education, focus on jobs. He's done a wonderful job in that respect. And I think that you're going to see the people of Kentucky respond favorably tonight.
Okay, so you're both Democrats. You're going to be on the ballots next year, I presume. At the top of that ballot is going to be a president right now who, for whatever reason, seems to be wildly unpopular with Americans. What's going on there?
Well, I don't know that he's popular with Americans. You're probably talking about some of the polling results that we've seen. But we could take you back to Ronald Reagan, to Bill Clinton, to President Obama. 18 months before their election, they had less than 50% ratings. Conversely, we can take presidents who at this time had 70-some% ratings, Ronald Reagan, and he lost the election. So I think it's something we have our eye on. And I can tell you that we are putting people over politics. I can tell you we're talking about his track record, and it's unbeatable. when you talk about women, when you talk about what he's done in healthcare, putting that cap on diabetes for insulin, when you think about what he's done for paying back school loans, when you think about workforce development, the economy, getting us through a global pandemic, so many things that we're going to be talking about and so many things that we know that Americans favor. So we're worried, but not overly.
And even going back to, and just to piggyback on what Congresswoman Beatty is saying, add to that what we felt in the states and what we felt in the cities. You talked about the Kentucky governor's race with Governor Beshear. He has been able to go around the last few years. He's done a great job of it, but he has been able to work on projects that President Biden and the congressional Democrats funded and paid for. It's the Build Back Better plan. It's the CHIPS and Science Act. It is the Inflation Reduction Act. And I think people in our communities are feeling the impact of that investment in our future, in infrastructure, in high-speed internet, particularly in places like Kentucky. They're going to get a chance during the campaign to talk about that record of success. And I think that's going to be more on voters' minds, particularly if he's up against Donald Trump.
But is there something he needs to be doing more of or less of to try to turn those numbers around and at least calm the worries?
I think the numbers will turn around, and I think that's why he has members like us. I have the opportunity to serve on his national advisory campaign, and we're going out and talking about the issues more. But after all, right now, he's running a country during some of the most unprecedented times, the most difficult times, and he's still out there making a difference. So we just have to tell the story more.
Would you guys campaign with him if he offered to come?
Oh, absolutely, I would.
If he comes to Kentucky, I think then he's going to be doing really well. I doubt he comes to Kentucky, but yes, of course, I would campaign with him if he came to Kentucky.
You guys reminded me that you have votes late tonight on yet another round of censure resolutions. It seems to be all Congress has been able to do recently, huh?
Well, we're not in leadership leading the country right now after 22 some days of Republicans not being able to come together on a speaker. We now have a speaker, and we are pushing to do the people's work and get back to it.
Have either of you heard from him or his team about what he plans to do? Or
I've not had any direct contact with the new
take the
speaker.
meeting if he asked?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Take a meeting.
Well, we're glad you took this meeting, and we'll let you get back to that vote later tonight. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty of Ohio, Congressman McGarvey of Kentucky. Thank you both for being here and for being here in person. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. We'll come back.
Excellent. Good.